Hi, I'm Ellen Heed, founder of STREAM. STREAM stands for Scar Tissue Remediation, Education, and Management. I believe that scar tissue is the unacknowledged cause for too much human suffering. So I developed STREAM to advance professional training of healthcare practitioners. STREAM gives providers of all stripes the tools they need to effectively and efficiently address scar tissue at both emotional and physical levels. When uninjured scars no longer hold us back, there's no stopping us. What are the results of STREAM? A genuine amplification of human potential and a behavioral bias towards manifestation of hopes and dreams. I'm so proud of the work that STREAM practitioners are doing that I made this video series to highlight their accomplishments. In this clip, I interview Rowan TwoSisters, a certified STREAM graduate and midwife, now working as a scar and pelvic care specialist in Houston, Texas. The name of this clip is Consent and Hotdog Socks, or How Rowan Works. Rowan talks about how she works with traumatized clients and patients in her bodywork and midwifery practices. And we talk about scars as a doorway to trauma recovery and the ways that Rowan makes her clients feel comfortable when they arrive at her workplace. We talk about the differences between STREAM and conventional medical approaches, and by contrast, in STREAM, we take all the time needed to create a greater sense of safety. So that way, trauma can be traced all the way back to its roots and finally resolved. Stick around and check it out. And what it says is that you're a body worker, midwife. And what I love so much about this is you're unafraid to wade into the trenches. Can you explain what wading into the trenches means a little bit?
It means that I'm prepared to go into places that are scary or unsettling or places that folks have not felt comfortable working on before or with. So I'm okay doing the hard work, and I'm okay if my patient is crying or tearing up,
Mm-hmm.
not in a painful way or not in a I'm afraid way, but in a releasing or feeling safe to express way. And I'll cry too. I have a kind of attitude that you don't have to cry alone. Like I'm just crying talking about it right now, but that I'm unafraid to go to the scary, deep, or parts that have remained covered up because it's been too much.
In
Hmm.
midwifery, their patients. In bodywork, their clients. But does it come
Right.
up on the table for bodywork clients that people go to these scary or unsettled or not so safe places with you? Does that come up? It certainly does for me in my practice, but I'm curious about yours because I we haven't talked about bodywork all that much. We talked a lot about midwifery and birth related stuff, but not so much body
Hmm.
per se.
I had somebody come in. She came in with a friend for breech work, and then I ended up encapsulating her placenta, went and dropped it off to her and did a quick postpartum check-in, and she'd had a vaginal birth, but was very traumatized by the experience and couldn't even go to her doctor. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, I'm going to take over your postpartum care. And so at the end of her postpartum care, I started doing scar work because she'd had I think level two tear. And then in doing that work, she revealed to me that she'd been assaulted in the past, which was brought up in that birth work. Yeah, and she didn't tell me when I was in the capacity as a midwife. She told me when I was in the capacity of her body work or working on scar remediation for the pelvic floor damage that had happened.
The essence of what we do as stream practitioners is the scar is the doorway.
Hmm.
And so
Right,
you could get into
right.
something that she may or may not have felt safe to disclose, or she wasn't aware of it in herself in the immediacy of the impact that it had on
Hmm.
her until you were in the territory and working. And then boom, here comes this thing. And so you're holding
Hmm.
space for it. And she goes to wherever she needs to go emotionally in order to let go of some of the fear or the uncertainty or the lack of safety there.
Right,
But it was a
right.
body work. It was a purely a body work context, actually.
Right. Yeah, I was up on the table with her and doing the work. And then she said that she'd been assaulted with fingers and I
Mm.
guess probed. And that's how it felt with all these unnecessary exams. And so then I was like, and she told me this when I knew something was going on and we were just breathing and together and the scar was kind of opening up and releasing like the collagen fibers went from being bunchy to like relaxed and flatter, more tone on her pelvic floor, more give, more
Mm.
suppleness.
Mm.
And then when she sat up after her session and we were like talking it out after clothes were on. She goes, I didn't realize that I had shut down after my birth the same way that I had shut down after the assault. And she told me the details of it a little bit. And I was like, did you feel safe with me? Because my fingers were working inside your body. And she goes, oh, I didn't even think about it in the same category.
Well, there's your answer, right? Real results for real people. Didn't even think
Right.
about it in the same category because she wasn't being treated as an object or as somebody where there was only a limited amount of time to get them in and out the door before you're on to your next exam as somebody in a
Yeah.
medical practice, right? That's
Hmm.
necessary under the constraints of how medicine is practiced, but you do it differently.
Right. Right. So she felt safe, and then results happened, and then subsequent sessions, like I think I'm only going to see her once or twice more because it's resolving so quickly because she feels safe and
So here
things
we
are
are
opening
back
up.
to the primacy of the autonomic nervous system. When
Hmm.
the ANS, the autonomic nervous system feels safe, then the person feels safe. When the person feels safe, things move along with incredible speed and efficacy, exactly like that.
Hmm.
Because safety is a prerequisite, the autonomics have to be engaged in a place of receptive reactivity to the good. And that is
Hmm.
based on safety.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. That sounds like
Thanks.
she's on her way and
Yeah.
you're helping.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. Well, that's a good
Yeah.
example of wading into the trenches because you had the work you did with her in the context of birth, and then you needed to wade into the trenches afterwards for her to realize that she had shut down, which she wasn't even aware of. This is so common for people. They don't even know that they've gone numb or they're in freeze or they're feeling dissociated from their body. They've kind of lost touch. And so many times I hear, oh, I can't look at myself since I gave birth. I can't, before I would check, I would look in a mirror and see how things were down there. But after birth, because of that tear, I just can't look or I can't touch my belly.
Right.
After a C-section, you've
Hmm.
got it's fully healed.
Right. Oh yeah.
I don't want to go there. I especially don't want to go to the place between the scar and my pubic bone. It's a place that it's not safe to go.
I had a patient come in for an appendectomy. So she came in and she was having problems with their scar in her upper left quadrant
Mm.
that they had gone in to do, and everything was kind of pulled up this way. She was having difficulty with the scar being in her diaphragm and in her colon. And so I was talking about it. I was like, if I could do an internal exam to just feel the appendectomy scar and see if there's anything pulling there. And then she goes, I can't, Rowan. And I'd brought it up on the phone. And she goes, I just can't. And I was like, oh, hey, it's okay. Like, total consent. And then afterwards, when I was doing the actual work, but we decided no internal work, I said something and I was like, wait, do you have a prolapse? And she goes, I do. I prolapsed with my first big baby and I have had a slight prolapse since then. And I was like, okay, so that makes sense that like everything's kind of pulling and twisting and like like because she had just a real irregular scar pattern and I couldn't quite figure it out. And so then again I was said, if you start to feel safe in 2 or 3 sessions, I can do that work, but it's always up to you. And she just started like got tearful and she said, I had a difficult first pap smear with a speculum and I've never gotten over it. And I told her I'm a safe person and we'll have our other friend here with you. And if that ever feels safe, I'm a good person to work through that with. And, so here's somebody who works in the professional capacity as a midwife and certainly does the work of helping and was afraid to do that own work herself until we got tender with each other. And she goes, I'm going to do it. And I said, next time, how about you just come in and we'll pretend like we're going to. I'll get up on the table with you and you can put but keep your undies on, but we'll just go through the motion so your
This is a
body starts to
rehearsal.
learn a rehearsal. And she goes, okay, I think I'm gonna try that. Like, okay. So she had no idea that having a terrible first gynecological experience and then a subsequent large baby with her first birth and probably not being super self-aware about her pelvic floor,
Mm.
how that even with the appendectomy created like scar, like the whole fascia was just kind of like it was just messy or not
Yes.
healing.
Yeah, so consent gets checked at the door. Let's talk about that a little bit in a conventional environment, because this is a huge blind spot that needs to be addressed universally by conventional medicine. It's like I've had exams myself where they've said, they think because somebody is in the room, that's consent. No, I mean, where am I in this process?
Right.
When consent enters the chat in a soft environment with a skilled provider, that's sort of like your workspace right now, how you
Mm-hmm.
set it up from the get-go. And we've talked about consent considerably already. Is there anything
Mm-hmm.
further you want to say about a soft environment? Because I know you even make your own sheets and pillows and stuff. Things
And pads, the
that's so
pads that
amazing.
people's, yeah.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah, everything has to be soft and because that's like the container, right? The more the container helps me do my best work and the more soothing it is to other people or the patients, then that helps their nervous system just already. That's work I don't have to do to help regulate their nervous system. I have a basket of socks. I have a basket of socks. So if people don't like have their own socks, and I'll be funny, I was like, "Do you need socks? I have the hot dog socks. They're clean. You want the hot dog socks?" And so they're like, "Well, shit, if it's the hot dog socks, you know." And so then I'll put them on, so put them on their feet, which is very caring and nurturing and stuff. So having things like that, but also you can be fun with, where somebody like me be like, fuck, I don't need these socks. But well, if it's the hot dog socks, like so people will maybe care for themselves more in a way that normally they would just stoic through it. But well, it's a hot dog socks. Oh, do you got the cotton candy ones? All right, having fun ways that people can be cared for.
what I hear you saying is that you are giving them the option to drop in deeper and deeper to taking care of themselves in ways that they would override typically because they just think they're supposed to get in and out and be there, make it convenient for you instead of what would feel good for them. You keep giving them an opportunity to invite them in and invite them in. And like, yes, you can occupy your body in a whole, full, creative, and fun loving way and be safe. And this is, I mean, what an amazing experience to have. I mean,
Okay, and this right here is a snapshot of why I went to stream, okay? Because I'm busy over here talking about hot dog socks, and you're talking about layering ways to drop in deeper to yourself and care for yourself. So you're able to like translate this in a way that I would not be able to. But later, if somebody goes, Rowan, I don't want the stupid hot dog socks, but I'll be like, but when you have these, you have an opportunity to deepen your relationship with yourself, drop into your nervous system better, and care for yourself in a way that you know that you're being cared for and it's not just convenience for me. See, so I'm able to say hot dog socks and then you give me some words and some deeper understanding, and then I can say it back to the patients about why these hot dog socks are important. This is what Stream did for me. This is a snapshot right here.